I already filmed this book review, but I'm filming it again because I filmed it immediately after finishing reading it, and I didn't have my thoughts in order, and everything I was talking about was all jumbled, and I left things out that I wanted to mention. So I'm here filming it again, hoping it's going to be better than the last one, but you won't know which one's better. Only I will. That book is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. So I'm giving this 4.5 stars. It was really good. It was a really, really good book. And it was scary. That was the thing I was afraid of. That was the thing that put me off of reading it for so long, was everyone said how scary it was, and I was so afraid of being afraid. And I was. While I was reading it, I was afraid to look out my windows, and I was afraid to go past dark rooms and go in the basement by myself. Even when I had to go switch the laundry in the basement, I brought my cat with me. I carried him downstairs with the laundry basket, and he was like slipping out of my arms, and I was like, no, you have to stay! When I was done reading it, though, I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't scared anymore about anything, which is good. But if you don't know what Bird Box is about, it is about this thing that's happening, that if you look at it, you kill yourself. And sometimes you kill other people as well before you kill yourself if there's other people around. You just get really, really violent, and you want to die, and you want other people to die violently. People don't know what it is that people are seeing because they die after they see it. So it starts off years after this has started, and it's following this woman, Mallory, with her 2 4-year-old kids, and she's just made a snap decision to leave with them. So they all wear blindfolds, and they go outside into a rowboat down a river that she knows is there to some safe house that she's been told about in the past. And it goes back and forth between her and her kids in the rowboat, and telling us the story of how everything started and how Mallory got to where she is now. There are more backstory chapters than there are rowboat chapters. Which is good though, because the backstory chapters were definitely more interesting. Some of the rowboat chapters were really scary though. I thought that the scariest scenes were in the flashback chapters though. So I thought that it was really, really well done. The writing bugged me at the beginning, and it bugged me a little bit throughout the story, but for the most part I thought the writing style worked really well with the story and what was going on. It was very punchy, like the sentences were very short and choppy, but most of the time I thought that added to the suspense and the panic in the scenes. Sometimes though the scenes weren't panicky, and I didn't think the short choppy sentences worked at all, and it just kind of made it annoying. But most of the time I thought it worked really, really well with the settings and the scenes that were going on. The scenes that were scary, like they were scary, like they made me go like, whew. Because it was just so terrifying to think about being in their situation, and to even just like, it felt so real. The thing that was always so scary about the scary scenes was that the characters didn't know if the thing was there because they're blindfolded or they have their eyes closed, and they just really want to open their eyes and see what it is so that they can be like, oh, it's just a raccoon or whatever. But they can't, because maybe they'll open their eyes and it's the thing that makes them kill themselves. And because they couldn't see it and I couldn't see it, it was really scary. And I was like, oh my god, is it the thing? Is it the thing that makes them kill themselves? And it was terrifying. And yes? Things that bugged me about the story were that there was a very big question that was talked about a lot throughout the story that didn't get answered. That technically it doesn't have to get answered, because it's a question that the characters don't know the answer to, so if they don't know the answer to it, why would we? But I was just really hoping that it would somehow get answered, like they would figure it out. Or that something would happen that would tell us the answer to it. And while I was reading it, I had a feeling this question wasn't going to get answered, but I was still disappointed when I got to the end and it wasn't answered. The other thing that bothered me about it was how much the author used the same words to describe what they were doing. Like, he always used blindfolded, blinded, blindfolded and blinded all the time, and he didn't need to, because one, I knew they were blindfolded, so I knew they couldn't see what they were doing. You don't have to tell me every single time they did something that they were doing it blindly. Like, you don't have to tell me that. I know. There were other words he could have used if he wanted to get across in that scene how they were doing something without being able to see. Like, there was one part when it said, blindly she inspected it. And instead of saying that, he could have said, she inspected it with her hands. Or he could have said she felt around to figure out what it was. Or she used her fingers to feel what it was. He didn't have to say, blindly she inspected it. Because I know she can't see, I know she's got a blindfold on, and if you think people are going to be confused about her inspecting something without using the word blindly, which they shouldn't be, you can explain it other ways. And that is probably one of the biggest things that bothered me. Every single time blindly or blindfolded was used, it really irked me. Because there were so many other things he could have used that would have made the description so much better, first of all. It would have described more of what was happening and how they were doing it, instead of just saying they were doing it without being able to see. Say how they did it. Because they can't see, what were they doing? I guess that's all I have to say about Bird Box. In summary, it was really good. It was pretty scary. A lot of the scenes, especially the scary scenes, were really well done, and there were only a few small things that bothered me about it. So I'm giving it 4.5 stars. So that was like the scariest thing about it, was not knowing what's there and wanting to know what's there, but you can't because it could kill you. That was so scary. And like when they're on their boat, like there were a few just lines throughout it that were just chilling. Like I can't even, like this one, it doesn't give anything away, but basically, so she, since her kids were born, she's teaching them what things sound like, and she's making them like listen to certain things and identify certain sounds so that it's easier for them when they're outside to know what is what and where to go and stuff like that. So the kids are saying there's something following us, and the boy says, the mom says, is it someone rowing? Yes, but with his hands instead of paddles. Are they rushing? Are they waiting? Tell me more. Tell me everything you hear. And then I'll skip this part because it's kind of a spoiler. And then, I don't think they're in a boat, the boy suddenly says. He sounds proud for having finally been able to make a distinction. What do you mean? Are they swimming? No, Mommy, they're not swimming. They're walking. And like, maybe that doesn't sound scary out of context, but like, oh my god! That part was so chilling when I was reading it. So, I thought the scary stuff was really well done, and the build up to things were really well done.